what's up, everybody? Today I wanted to share a quick snippet about strength training that I think will help you with your planning. I think a lot of people will go into training kind of haphazardly or without a plan. And if you want to start seeing progress, one of the best things you can do is plan accordingly. Plan for first outlining your goals, and then you can work your way backwards from there. Um, anyway, the type of periodization model you use doesn't really matter too much. I mean, that's a debated topic. I mean, you can argue methods all day long. The big thing is that you have some sort of plan in place of how and when you're going to regulate volumes, intensities, exercise selection, and so on. So anyway, I'll go ahead and share my screen here just to give you something. There we go. Cool. So one thing that I think would be great for you to take into your training, especially when you're outlining your plan here, will be taking a note from Dr. Bondarchuk. So Dr. Bondarchuk, one of the greatest sports scientists ever, said that there are three types of training blocks or training sessions you can have. They can be either a restoration, a retention, or development block. From those development blocks, you can have a couple different subcategories that are substantial, large, and extreme. So how do you differentiate between what's what? So with his classification, you would assign points to each one of those, depending on how psychologically draining it is, as well as physiologically draining. So if you're doing 1 RMs and you have to get yourself amped up, and it is wearing you out both physically and mentally, that would be classified as an extreme training session. Whereas it's something where you don't have to get amped up at all. You're just trying to move around, get a little blood flow, and help with restore and recover some fatigue. That would be classified as a restoration training session. So when you're looking at those, assuming I've done this right so you can see my screen, a restoration is going to take less than 12 hours to recover from. Whereas an extreme training session would take 72 hours plus to recover from, and you would grade it 5 on a 1 to 5 scale. So you can see in parentheses there how many hours it takes for a given session in terms of recovery, and how many points you would want to assign each of those mini blocks. So I've been playing with this the past couple cycles, and what I've noticed is somewhere within 15 to 20 points a week, 20 being the extreme end, is going to be how much you want to allot for your training. So that's even including the weekends as well. So this is going to affect how you plan your sessions, because if you have, for example, an extreme training block on Tuesday, you're obviously following this model. It's not going to work well to have another extreme training session on Wednesday. You would want to space that out appropriately so that you could recover and be prepared for that next extreme training session, if that's how you're outlining your training. So a couple other things to look at here is kind of what I was alluding to just there. How does one session affect the subsequent training sessions within the week, but also within the month, and so on? Because a lot of people will not look at training that far out, and they should. Because if I go as hard as possible today, that's great. But if I had more training planned for the week, it is going to impact my ability to train hard later in the week if I burn myself out on the front side of the week. So you can look at this from a local versus a systemic fatigue standpoint. And this could also be looked at from, is this more of a neural training session or more of a muscular fatigue training session? So those are two different components. So for example, if I'm doing 1RMs and I have to get amped up, there's loud music and I'm at a competition, that's going to be more of a neural drive. And yes, there will be some soreness from that obviously as well, but not the same as if I'm going to go into a hypertrophy training session that might be more of, hey, that's still substantial and it's going to drain me. It might be a little blend of neural and muscular, but it's more targeted towards muscular. So these are just some considerations, some things to look at so that you can plan accordingly depending on what your goals are. So if you have any questions on that, if there's anything I can help with, please comment below, send me a message, and I'll be glad to answer anything you have. All right, have a good day.